Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I will be reviewing Areej le Dore's Chinese oud, the original one. I think this review was some time in the making. Main reason is that I like Areej le Dore Chinese oud. Spoilers, if you don't want to watch the rest of the video, I think it's an excellent fragrance. But the reason why it took me some time is because I find Chinese oud to be an exception of a rule. For my personal taste, this type of DNA does not work. Again, for my personal taste and understanding. Therefore, given that I want to do a positive review about Chinese oud, but I also want to discuss why I think that most other perfumes that try to achieve similar things as Chinese oud fail, I need to balance this thin line of managing to explain my position about the type of scent Chinese oud is, while also clearly conveying that I think Chinese oud is probably, of what I have smelled in my life, is probably the best, let's say, result of trying to achieve this type of DNA. And what is this DNA? Well, I have 3 other fragrances with me that, in my opinion, share the same goals as Chinese oud. First one is Bortnikov Mysterious Oud. And second one, a little bit to the lesser degree, Aqualaria Blossom by the same Areej le Dore. The DNA I'm talking about is basically citrus plus oud. In particular cases of Mysterious Oud and Chinese oud, the citrus in question is orange. In Aqualaria Blossom, maybe a little bit more bergamot, but again, bergamot can be sensed and found also in note pyramid of Chinese oud as well. But yeah, orange and oud. But the DNA itself, we can call it citrus and oud. For my personal taste, citrus and oud does not work. And I will explain very clearly why. What I find when smelling combinations of heavy citrus and oud, and in most cases it can also be woody notes like sandalwood. Both of these fragrances also share sandalwood base. The citrus as a note in general is sharp note, piercing, invigorating, sharp note. And what I find, if you combine citrus and oud, what you get is enhanced version of sharpness in both of these notes. And for those of you who been watching my channel for a while now, you know that I am not a fan of piercing fragrances in general. Therefore, when this effect, at least to my nose, happens, I mainly don't like the opening, and at the same time I basically almost always am not too keen of the dry down. So if opening and dry down fails, what's left? You won't buy the fragrance in that case if you don't like 2/3 of its shelf life, let's say. So if we talk about Mysterious Oud, it also has orange opening. In fact, quite similar to my taste, in my opinion, to Chinese oud. It also has oud, obviously, and it has a very strong presence of sandalwood. Phil Oud, the co-brand of Bortnikov Areej le Dore, distilled sandalwood, so it is very present in Mysterious oud. And in Chinese oud we have Mysore sandalwood, so also very high quality, high grade sandalwood. Of course, Bortnikov most of the time is very well known for his florals, but in Mysterious Oud, in my opinion, he underused them, sadly, given how he uses them everywhere. Underusing them in Mysterious Oud, in my opinion, is a fatal mistake. Why? And why did I call Chinese oud, let's say, an exception of the rule? Exception of the rule is because Chinese oud, and Adam in particular, he managed to tame the sharpness that oud and citrus combo creates. How did he do that? Well, in several ways. Two main ways, at least to my nose. One of it is being florals. He used heavy rose and a little bit of jasmine, but that wouldn't be enough because, well, Bortnikov also used some florals, and we have plenty of florals in Aqualaria Blossom, and it still does not work. The scent is extremely sharp, and in the case of jasmine, the indolic sharpness can make things even worse. What Russian Adam actually did, he introduced powderness. If I remember correctly, he said he used some vintage aldehydes, and the powderness, it's not present like now in first 5 seconds, but in probably a minute or so it will appear. And for me personally, it solves the majority of the sharpness problem in the scent. So for the first 30 seconds, I'm not the biggest fan of Chinese oud, but now I'm basically smelling just pure orange oil. And thank God this is different orange oil from Adam's other creation, Forbidden Flower. In that one, I don't have a bottle, and maybe if I will ever do a review of a sample or whatever, that will probably be my most negative Areej le Dore review of all time, because the orange feels very cheap, and I didn't like it. Here, the orange is not bad, and now at this time the powderness appears. It solves, in my opinion, the main problem, as I said, the sharpness, and puts everything under control. And if I would need to describe, let's say, Chinese oud in one sentence, it will be under control. This is one of, I think, more balanced Areej le Dore creations. It manages to balance the oud, and in my opinion, taming the oud that it is here in the Chinese oud is a very huge achievement as a perfumer for Adam. Why? You don't see here on the table because I sold my bottle, but in the past I owned History of Chinese Oud. Not Chinese oud, but History of Chinese Oud collection, the pure oud in alcohol, in white, beautiful box. In my opinion, I'm not sure if it's exactly the same oud, but for me personally, the profile of that pure oud in alcohol, I can detect something similar here. But as I said, I had to sell the History of Chinese Oud bottle because the oud, to me, it was not pleasing at all. It was not per se animalic, it was like moldy, mushroomy, unpleasant type scent. It was not meditative in any way for me personally. It was just plainly, it was not pleasant for me. In here, I can sense that wood, but everything around it, he built it in, I don't know, he had a stroke of genius, I guess. Everything here is made to cut off all the unpleasant edges of said wood and leaving just the deep, rich woodiness of vintage wood oil. In my opinion, this is probably was very challenging for Adam. If I remember correctly, in the introduction of this perfume, and I watched the video many years ago, but I remember he said something along the lines of that Chinese people, they don't like animalics in fragrances. They don't like fecal wood, and he tried to show the Chinese culture some respect and to release something that they would enjoy. And in my opinion, this is a great success. This fragrance is not, in my opinion, animalic at all. The wood is here, especially given that I smell the history of Chinese wood. I can detect it pretty well. I can separate from the rest of the composition. And given again that I smelled the history of Chinese wood, if it's in fact the same wood or at least similar in profile, I can't even imagine where one would begin to tame that wood. I mean, I love wood. I have some different woods from different brands and no brands and all. And none of my woods smell similar to the Chinese history of Chinese wood smell. I have never in my life before or since smelled wood to be this, I don't know, I just can call it mushroomy. To me, the history of Chinese wood smelled like soil and mushrooms. I know, not the best description, but well, obviously, as I said, I didn't like it. So I didn't like it enough to keep it. It was interesting, but not pleasing. While this is very pleasing. So what are the key notes I would like to leave you with regarding Chinese wood? In my opinion, as I said, I don't think that citrus and oud works very well. In my opinion, creating and basing your brand around fresh oud is extremely hard. Not many can pull it off. For example, I think Bortnikov failed spectacularly at trying to do this. I hear Agar Aura is doing well in this field, but I have not smelled many of his creations. I need to rectify this in the future, and I will try to do so. So if I heard only the best opinions of Taha from Agar Aura, so if he is the genius who can do it, I will be the first to tell you. But at least in this collaboration with Taha and Areej le Dore, I don't think they succeeded. Obviously, I still have this bottle. It's almost empty. I did not use all of this. I bought it maybe half full. I will do a review. It's not a horrible fragrance by any means. I think it might even be underrated. But overall, attacking this type of wood scent, it sounds good in theory. If you want to attract Westerners to wood, what do Westerners like? They like fresh scents. So let's do a fresh wood, and maybe some Western guys come and buy it. But in reality, I think it's not everything that just sounds good on paper is actually good in reality. And again, I'm talking only about my personal taste. Maybe other people love it and enjoy it, but that's just not me. And you're here to watch me talk about artisanal perfumery. All that being said, Chinese oud, in my opinion, managed to solve this by introducing powderiness. But again, if you ask 10 people, 10 males, let's say, if they want their fragrances to be powdery and aldehydic, the answer will probably be no. But I think without those powdery notes and aldehydes, this would not work. Now, it absolutely does work. I think it pays good tribute and respect to Chinese culture. I can't imagine anyone like hating this scent. It is managing to thread the needle of being interesting, unique, and wearable. And obviously the orange helps in this case because it is controlled and it's tamed, and Adam did an excellent job. I don't know, as I said, excluding this one, I don't know any other citrus oud combination fragrances where the woody notes would be strong enough to be sensible. Many people can just put oud in the name or whatever, but you can't smell the actual oud, so I don't count those. But where the oud is actually very present, and sandalwood is present because this is mainly woody fragrance, woody citrus fragrance that is not that fresh at the end of the day. It's a rarity. It's a rarity in scent profile, and also I don't know how to show you this, but this is basically the most beautiful travel size atomizer I have ever seen in my life. This is pretty thick wood. You can hear it. It has amazing engravings all over the travel atomizer. This thing is so beautiful, at least for me. I chose to get it over the regular bottle. Regular bottle is also beautiful, but this is the only case in my whole life, I guess, where I saw the bottle, I saw the travel spray, and most of the time I also always go for a bottle, because if I trust Adam most of the time, not all the time. So I go, if I buy anything, I go for the biggest possible bottle. But in this case, the wood Chinese stick, let's say, with these beautiful engravings, it won my heart. And I have about half. I try to look. It's hard to look because obviously not see-through, but this part actually screws out. So I screwed it out and I tried to see with a lamp, and I think I have about half. So apparently pretty soon I will maybe regret getting 10 mils instead of 30 mils if I ever run out. But in terms of presentation, in terms of execution, in terms of reaching the goals he set to achieve, I find it to be probably his best so-called collaboration. Maybe second to Svet de Nuit, or yeah, I don't know. 1A and 1B, Svet de Nuit and Chinese oud. Given that Chinese oud is only collaboration by materials, the other party did not intervene in blending of the scent. I find that this is one of the better Areej le Dores out there. I have never smelled the part 2, sadly, so I can't contribute my opinion here. But overall, if you are looking for a citrus oud fragrance, and maybe you share my opinion that most of the time this combination does not in fact work, I find that Chinese oud actually works. So yeah, that's been my review. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and I appreciate you all. Have a good evening and goodbye.